Tzu Chi volunteers deliver aid supplies to affected residents in a rural village in Mozambique. Dalin Tzu Chi Hospital offers early treatments for children with developmental delays in remote areas. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Maggie Tsai. Thank you for joining us. Tzu Chi volunteers continue to help people who were affected by Cyclone Idai in Mozambique. They went to the Nhamatand Village on April 7 to deliver aid supplies to around 1,000 families. The distribution began with everyone singing the national anthem of Mozambique and songs of Tzu Chi Foundation. Let's join them there.
The villagers are filled with expectations and excitement while waiting for the relief goods to arrive. After many difficulties, Tzu Chi volunteers finally arrived at Nhamatand Village in Mozambique to conduct this distribution. These relief goods include a lot of love from Taiwan. According to the local tradition, people sing the national anthem before the distribution begins.
When the distribution began, we sang the national anthem of Mozambique to respect their tradition. This is also the first time that we conducted a distribution of this style in Mozambique. After hearing the song of Tzu Chi Foundation, people were quite moved. The MC of this event was moved to tears after she read the master's letter to the audience.
The volunteers estimated they will distribute to 1,000 families. Most of them are elderly women or pregnant women. Every family will receive rice, corn powder, runner beans, salt, cooking oil, potassium alum, soap, mosquito nets, and other items.
We use this to make sure if they are the elderly or pregnant women. They need these tickets in order to get in and receive the goods.
A unique way to hand out goods in Mozambique is the affected residents sit on the ground and Tzu Chi volunteers bring the goods to them. This shows our gratitude, respect, and blessing.
The volunteers hope that these relief goods are enough to feed the affected people so they can return to their normal lives.
The disaster relief in Nhamatand County took place on April 7 and 8. In addition to food, one important item given out was alum, which the Tzu Chi volunteers hope will purify water and improve the sanitation of the area. Volunteers also noticed one woman with a disability, and through her eyes, we look at the daily life of people in Mozambique.
Anastasia also lives in Nhamatand Village. Tzu Chi volunteers push her tricycle loaded with goods. It takes them 40 minutes to reach her home. She lives in the three thatched houses with her 18-year-old son and her brother. When she arrives, her brother comes to help her. After Anastasia leaves her tricycle, we then realize she cannot move all the goods all by herself. Her body bends forward 180 degrees, so she must walk with both of her hands and feet. She takes out the dishes to wash them. One Tzu Chi volunteer teaches her how to use alum to purify the water.
Pour in 1 cup of alum into the bucket. You can drink it in the next 30 minutes. You must shake the bucket. You can only drink it after 30 minutes. You cannot pour in more than 1 cup. No more, no less.
She burns plastic as fuel for cooking food, but she seems fine with the smell of dioxin. She does this every day.
To didn't use more plastic to make fire. You see there, if she can use a paper or sometimes petrol.
She is fortunate that Cyclone EDA collapsed the walls, which has been rebuilt. She now sells peanuts every day, and the amount she earns for a year is still unable to help her buy all the goods she received.
They are enough to last 1 month for the 3 of us.
After we followed Anastasia home, we then realized how difficult her life is, and this is just an example of many lives in Mozambique. Zimbabwe Tzu Chi volunteers completed aid distribution in heavily damaged areas in Qinghai County. DaAi TV news team followed one of the affected residents back to her house. Many disaster survivors lost everything they had and became homeless. They were deeply touched by Tzu Chi volunteers' effort to deliver aid supplies to them in person, and therefore have opened their heart to express their sorrow and pain. Where I am standing is Nhamatand County. There were over 100 houses flooded in just one night. There are over 1,000 of affected residents whose houses were all ruined. Therefore, there are 4 shelters in this district, with Tzu Chi volunteers conducting aid distributions in this area.
I'm deeply moved by your distribution. Many people who came to distribute aid supplies here just sent the items without coming here personally. But you deliver them to us in person and pray for us. It's the first time we feel so special.
After a half-month from the disaster, they finally felt some warmth. Mukando brought the reporters to her previous house to express her gratefulness and trust.
My house had 3 rooms all the way to here. From here on was the kitchen. We used to feed chickens in the yard. There was my kitchen there.
On the night of the disaster, the flood destroyed their house. Her husband and 2 daughters were hurt by rocks. Fortunately, her whole family was safe. However, all of their belongings were gone, and they had to stay in a shelter at a local church because they are now homeless.
The shelter is boring and there is nothing to do. In the morning, I go to the aid distribution or I wash clothes by the river. I just walk and wander around because nobody wants to stay in the shelter.
The disaster has posed a major challenge in her life. She wanted to do some small business, but now that her house is destroyed, her hopes are gone. Her situation is quite common among the disaster survivors.
Look at the small space we live in. It's very crowded, and we live right next to another family. If I could have a wish, I wish to have my own house again.
Just when Mukando is dreaming about the future, Zimbabwe volunteers brought a surprise for her. They gave clothes to her little daughter.
Are you happy?
Yes.
Why?
Because I have a new dress.
The disaster has taken away everything Mukando has, and she is desperate. However, Tzu Chi volunteers have continued to give warmth and accompany the family, and they will always be there to safeguard all of the affected families. Extreme weather has led to severe snowstorms in Qinghai province, China. The Tzu Chi Foundation delivered compassion and warmth on 2 occasions at the end of March, helping more than 2,000 herdsmen households. Many were similarly affected by snowstorms in 1996. Some 23 years later, they still remember this act of kindness. In fact, one elder man showed souvenirs from an event many years ago.
Holding a paper bag that Tzu Chi used to distribute compassion 23 years ago is a 70-year-old Gada. He wanted to accompany his son to today's event, becoming reacquainted with his benefactor from many years ago.
Today he deliberately came over. Originally his son was to come, but he wanted to bring this souvenir, which he's holding in his hand to verify that he has been grateful ever since.
Although the volunteers assisting in this event are different than when the snowstorm hit 23 years ago, Gada still vividly remembers the scene.
At the time of the snowstorm, coming so far was very inconvenient based on transportation, which included airplanes and the highway. Basically, Tzu Chi Foundation's compassion here was very much appreciated.
After receiving the compassion, he invited Tzu Chi volunteers to his home to talk about the old days. However, the snow got so deep the car could not move, and volunteers had to get off and follow the grandfather home.
The weaker I am, the more he helps me. Yes, I should take a break, but Grandpa is not tired.
The plateau at more than 4,000 meters has very thin air. This, together with heavy snow, makes it hard to walk, though the distance is not very far. Once inside, this grandfather takes out his Tibetan scriptures and a receipt from the event many years ago.
Grandpa put it here in these sutra verses and then in this box. We don't have 4 seasons of grazing here. We have winter pastures and summer pastures. He has to move once a year and putting things on the yak and changing locations.
The harshness of the natural environment tests the wisdom of the herdsman. This snowstorm, he originally had 100 yak. Nearly 90% died in the few months, but he did not regret his decision.
Some believe that cows and sheep are simply money when they are slaughtered. He does not think this way. He doesn't see them as property, but actually part of his family.
Receiving the materials from the distribution site, Tzu Chi's wife immediately made a fried cake, and the whole family enjoyed a happy meal together.
This help makes him especially grateful in his heart. This is what he wrote in this book.
The only thing that he cherishes for this family is a little book where Tzu Chi records the people who have helped him. He never forgets this kindness and always keeps these feelings with him.
Ocean acidification has led to a dramatic reduction in the number of marine organisms. In order to learn more about this matter, Academia Sinica simulated such environments and measured the impact on sea urchins, fish, and squid. It found that seawater acidification affects the growth of these organisms as well as their reproduction. Worse yet, the effect of acidification and seawater warming is affecting deep sea water, as oceans may soon be unable to support life.
This is the Marine Research Station of Academia Sinica. This tank has a simulated normal water seawater environment with a pH of 8.1. Meanwhile, this tank is an acidified environment that simulates a pH of 7.8.
Sea urchin growing in pH 7.8 water has obvious differences than those in other water. There are differences in the length of their spine as well as the size of the individual.
If their seawater growth environment drops by just 0.3 pH units, the size of the sea urchins is visually different, about half the size. Why does a slight acidity change cause such a large change in marine organisms?
Most marine organisms use calcium carbonate as part of their bones or shell structure. When the water is acidic, this causes the structures of the creatures to become softer.
This is 3 seawater environments. One has the current seawater at pH 8.1 and acidified seawater at a level expected in 100 years at pH 7.72, and after 300 years with pH 7.48. The study found that the higher the acidity, the lower the survival rate of the big-fin reef squid. Even if they do survive, their size has become smaller.
The squid's growth and development is obviously slowed, and it will reproduce less. It also has the so-called anxious behavior, hiding in the corner of our breeding tank.
Shellfish and cephalopods cannot withstand the acidity of the sea, and even fish with strong acid resistance also see their nerves affected.
With ocean acidification, these rice fish, after 2 to 3 generations, begin to have their behavioral patterns seriously affected.
Acidification has some effect on the hearing of the fish. Acidification affects their normal life and ability to survive, as it has a direct effect.
Researchers found that near waters of Taiwan's Guishan Island, seawater is significantly acidified.
Guishan Island's hot spring is the most acidic in the world. From our observations, we are trying to discover the effect of long-term seawater acidification on the ocean.
Researchers are going outside of their laboratory and directly to real acidified seawater environments to see the damage done to marine animals.
In acidic ocean water, snail shells become thinner and it's easier for them to be bitten. However, if they are more spherical, it is easier to withstand pressure.
The team from Sun Yat-sen University worked with Japanese experts who have found that in Japan's ocean, the deeper the sea, the more severe the acidification.
It is reasonable to say that seawater acidification is caused by carbon dioxide, so it should start from the surface, so the surface water should be more acidified. However, we found that the deep water near Japan is experiencing the most serious acidification.
In response to this peculiar phenomenon, scientists found the answer is a combination of factors, including acidification of seawater and global warming. Because shallow seawater is acidified and affected by warming, it becomes high in temperature and low in density. This makes it hard to mix with deep seawater. The original deep water gets older, with death of more creatures together with organic matter in shallow water, which is broken down by bacteria. There's more acid produced. This constantly accumulates, making deep seawater more and more acidic, with pH values even exceeding that of shallow water.
The deeper the sea is, the lower the pH level, making it higher in acidity. So when it is 200 to 300 meters deep water, the pH is close to range that organisms can tolerate for growth.
The habitat for marine organisms is almost near the brink of extinction, as ocean acidification soon may not be enough to sustain life.
There are many reasons for a child to suffer developmental delays, but most of the causes are unclear. If parents didn't notice symptoms of developmental delays in an early stage, children might miss the prime time for proper treatments. This is especially true for children in remote areas, many of whom can hardly make it to the hospital. Dalin Tzu Chi Hospital therefore formed an outreach team to go to these areas to provide a one-stop evaluation for customized therapy sessions to each child in need. Taoshan Tribe is located in the southern part of Alishan in Jiayi County. It's 1,200 meters above sea level, and the environment is suitable for living. However, for children who suffer developmental delays, the journey to receive medical help is as twisted as this mountain route.
The regular evaluation process takes at least 3 trips to complete. Some of the parents would quit because of the trouble of going back and forth to the hospital.
According to the statistics from World Health Organization, the chance for a child to have developmental delay is about 6 to 8%. There are about 1.2 million children under the age of 6 in Taiwan, and about 70 to 90,000 families are facing such challenges. Jiayi County alone has about 1,200 developmental delayed children.
I need to bring 3 children to go down to the hospital, which is exhausting. It also costs a lot to go down the mountain. It's not something you can easily manage.
They don't have a car, so it's very difficult for them to go to the hospital. Therefore, we hope to bring our service up here to the mountain.
Dalin Tzu Chi Hospital's outreach team goes to Tzu Chi's medical station on Dapu Mountain and a nursing home in Piaozi City to offer a one-stop overall evaluation for children who had been reported to have developmental delays.
When we reach out, we play the role of a psychiatrist, speech pathologist, physical and occupational therapist, and social worker. The idea is that we can provide the same quality of services as the evaluation you get in a hospital. Afterward, the children can receive education subsidies in school, and there will be special education teachers to give them support at home or in school.
To cope with children's different developmental delays, the social worker will first get to know their family backgrounds. The physical therapist will evaluate their movements. The occupational therapist evaluates their muscle growth. The speech pathologist observes their language and comprehension abilities, and the clinical psychiatrist will check on their cognition, emotion, and social abilities. After the thorough early evaluation, they will come up with a customized therapy session for each child.
The child has got smarter due to interactions with her. I'm very grateful to them because otherwise we couldn't make it through. The child has grown so much here. Thank you all.
0 to 6-year-old is the prime time of children's development. The brain cells grow and connect the fastest before 3 years old. Doctors remind everyone that children with developmental delays should receive treatment as early as possible in order to grow healthily. Chile's Eben Esther Kindergarten is located in a slum area which is known for frequent crime. While the government provides free schooling for the children, other resources have yet to reach them. At the beginning of March, 15 new students reported to school, but there was no stationery or school bags. Fortunately, Tzu Chi volunteers were quick to deliver this aid.
A full box of stationery sent to this kindergarten. The children become excited at seeing this whole table full of stationery. They each get their own school bags, which volunteers hand deliver as they cannot contain their excitement.
I was just registering for my daughter today. I didn't expect to receive so many surprises.
Most of the children in the Ibn Ezer kindergarten are from the slums. The company which Caesar, a volunteer, works for has provided long-term care for them. He knew that at the start of school they would lack stationery. For this, he made a special request to Tzu Chi.
This kindergarten is located in a slum where drugs are rampant and crime is continuous. Some children are abandoned as more care and assistance is needed for the children.
In addition to stationery, there are future plans to build an outdoor awning to cover the play area so that children can have fun outside.
Xiamen Tzu Chi volunteers divided into 60 home visit teams visited a total of 164 scholarship recipients. Other than hand-delivering their scholarship subsidies, they also brought over brand new shoes and clothes for each family. Let's take a look.
Tzu Chi scholarship recipient Oh Sha and his parents live in temporary housing with 4 other family members. They came from Guizhou to Xiamen for work. They live a very hard life. This time, Tzu Chi volunteers brought over brand new shoes and clothes for the entire family. Each item was specially selected for each individual, hoping that it will be a perfect fit. The whole family all put on their brand new shoes and clothes. Their faces were beaming with joy. Tzu Chi volunteers not only care for the scholarship recipients, but their families as well. Xiamen Tzu Chi volunteers divided into 60 teams and went door to door to visit a total of 164 students. They hand-delivered their scholarship subsidies and their best wishes. Liu Jiyun also received the gifts that the volunteers brought over. The grandparents were the happiest upon seeing the volunteers visiting again.
You guys care a lot about us. We're all very happy. There are so many kind and compassionate organizations. Tzu Chi is one of them.
Her father had passed away from illness and her mother remarried. Her grandparents are now her biggest support system.
Our parents' love are great. You must always remember in your heart your grandparents' love and kindness. In addition, do not harbor the feelings of hatred toward your mother. Like I told you last time, she gave birth to you. She gave you life. So just that act alone, you must be grateful.
Guiding her to see just how blessed she is, the child's face finally had a smile on it. She promised to work harder in school so that she doesn't worry anyone.
Indonesia Tzu Chi volunteers collaborated with local companies to host an event for people to show their compassion of giving. Meanwhile, they also encourage participants to donate blood for a good cause and spread the great love. We'll leave you with these images and thank you for joining us. Goodbye.